Hi, everybody. So, I'm going to start out by reminding you all that I have made the book available for free. I posted a notice on my channel this morning. I did a video yesterday. This is my third notice. I made it available before for 2 days, and many people were not able to get it. And because they didn't download it, they were saying that I did not make it available for free. Many people have already downloaded it. So, I'm not sure what I can do other than to keep saying it over. I'm repeating it. If you don't download it, it's not because I didn't make it available for free. It's because you didn't download it while it was available. Now, I just got a notification that I'm in arrears on my student loans. I addressed this in my book in chapter 7. Um, as it relates to capitalism. Capitalism is the economic pillar of life slavery. And so I just basically have a rant for this morning. There's a lot of stuff that I want to say. Now let me start out by saying that I did post on my community wall a quote that the wise man realizes finally what the fool realizes finally. So the anti-natalists are the wise people. They have already realized the human predicament. They see it objectively. But the fool has to learn the hard way. The fool has to suffer and make their children suffer in order for them to see what we have already saw. They don't want to accept the pessimistic worldview. They want to accept the Pollyanna worldview. Um, by the way, Rose Permaculture just did another video straw manning the anti-natalist position. I'm going to review that video also because she got it completely wrong. She keeps conflating anti-natalism with child free. She keeps talking about how we hate children. She's not even addressing the ethical imposition of life. And she's basically saying that we're the authoritarians who are oppressing people. Um, anyway, us get back to what I'm here to talk about. So we don't have a future. We don't. There's not a future. Now when we talked about anti-natalism, like maybe just a few years ago, maybe 5, 10 years ago, a lot of people were dismissive because they thought that things were so wonderful that why would you be so negative? Why wouldn't you just focus on the positive, right? They're adopting Nietzsche's framework of the will to power, the overcoming of the potential for greatness. They're dismissing the actual reality that humans are existing now, who are suffering now, and that their potential children or their existing children who exist, maybe they're fine right now. Maybe things look great, but I don't think most people are saying that right now. They already know that that the shit is about to hit the fan. There's tens of thousands of people who have already been laid off, right? What is your answer to that? What is your response to the anti-natalist position when you see what the hell is going on and you've been so dismissive? We were warning you about this shit years ago, and yet this shit is coming to fruition, and yet you're still maintaining your Pollyanna bias because you think that your positive thinking and clicking your damn heels 3 times and wishing for the best is going to actually change the outcome. The outcome has already been predetermined. You have no control over this shit. The shit is way above your damn pay grade. Let's see who's here because I got some shit to say this morning. Um, Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure what's going to change. Like we're seeing it's happening already. It's playing out exactly as we told. I mean, even if let's say for example you don't have to come at it from an anti-natalist perspective like a chickpea is a Christian, right? Or she's not a traditional Christian, she's a Gnostic, which I kind of consider myself a Gnostic too, although I don't take it literally. But I came to the anti-natalist position because of Christianity. The pre like Revelations talked about the mark of the beast in the end times, right? We didn't know exactly when it was going to happen, and I'm not sure that this is necessarily going to be the end times, but this is, although I don't take it literally, this is the mark of the beast. We're seeing it happening right now, and I don't. It's really undeniable. I don't like. I think a lot of people have their heads in the sand. They want to focus on the positive because they don't want to address the negative. That we are fucked. We are absolutely fucked. Good morning. Um, but the answer is right in front of them. I keep saying it. Like you think I don't know what your solution is. You think that the solution is to keep popping out more babies, store water, prep, right? What build an underground bunker? Um, what is your damn solution? I mean, everybody keeps rejecting the solution that is being presented to them, but they're saying that anti-Nazism is bullshit. Again, I'm going to review that video that Rose Permaculture said. She just did a live stream yesterday, which I thought was complete bullshit. Um, but we have already told you, you don't have any leverage. I'm not sure what your solution is. You think you're going to have a general strike? Let me just go through my outline because I don't want to keep ranting without going through what I actually um, came here to say. So, and basically, what's his name? Senator, what is his name? Gosh, what is the Democratic Socialist, the older, gosh, I can't think of his name for some reason. The older Jewish guy with the glasses. Y'all let me know in the comment section. I can't, I'm drawing a blank right now. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He did a whole video talking about how AI was going. Bernie Sanders did a whole video, and D&W played it on his channel. Nobody really had anything to say about it, but Bernie Sanders made this whole, maybe I should review that video. He made this whole video about how AI was going to ruin everybody's lives. We don't have a future. Everybody knows it, that is coming, but they are choosing to ignore it because they feel helpless to do anything about it. We are helpless to the most, to the, to the, I mean, to a greater extent, we are helpless because the solutions that are being presented are being rejected, and they're not presenting any alternatives. I would say that the only two solutions we have, if you want to keep popping out babies, then you're going to have to embrace anarchy. Most people are not going to embrace anarchy. They're still going to think that they can achieve democratic reform through democracy. Democracy is not going to save you. This shit needs to be burned down to the ground. It needs to be dismantled. And absent anarchy, because they're not going to accept anarchy, then the only solution would be antinatalism. Antinatalism is probably the most guaranteed outcome because you are powerless. The only thing that you can control are your reproductive is your reproductive capacity. Now, everybody's going to be affected by this, by the way, by the displacement of AI. I'm not sure how all encompassing this is going to be, but it's going to replace writers, accountants, programmers, lawyers, teachers, customer service representatives, truck drivers, retail workers. And this is primarily because we do have a service oriented economy, right? We don't really produce shit. Even the actual producers, the manufacturers, they're going to be replaced too. I'm trying to think of jobs that really can't be replaced by AI. And there's really not many. Maybe you can grow vegetables and sell that. Maybe you can barter. I don't think that that is necessarily going to save you because I grow vegetables in my backyard. I think when people go hungry, they're probably just going to climb my fence and just steal it, or they're going to try to break into my house and steal whatever I store. So I do have bars on my windows. I do have a store. I don't think that there's really nothing that's going to save us. This is y'all. Again, I did make the book available for free. It is a lot of reading. It's heavy, but I think that this is very helpful. It's basically stating the obvious, and it's stating the things that people are ignoring. Now, I did address in chapter 7 that we're going to be expendable because under capitalism, it's like you're only as useful as you're being productive. The capitalists are basically parasites on society. They don't produce shit, but they basically like capitalism allows them to live without working, and The only reason that they're able to maintain capitalism is because of state violence. Property is illegitimate. Property is theft. It is property does not exist in a state of nature. And in a state of nature, you would need property in order to maintain your survival. But this is an artificial creation maintained through legal title, which is completely illegitimate. But because we have been indoctrinated to believe that it is legitimate, it is not. Property is only legitimate to the extent that someone is making productive use of the property. Legal title is not legitimate ownership. Now, let us get to AI. So, AI is not owned by the capitalists, not legitimately. The workers built AI. The workers wrote the codes. They trained the models. They created the algorithm. They built the infrastructure. They generated the data that maintains the machines and made the AI learning possible, right? By the way, I did work for one of these major tech companies, which I'm not going to say about what the name of it. They had these stories, these data towers, and a lot of the data that you think is actually being deleted, you think, oh, I can delete my posts on social. No, it's being stored. They know they're keeping track of this shit, and it's high security because this is highly valuable. This is the reason why Facebook was selling out information to political parties because they're going to weaponize this. They have all this information, and they're keeping track of. There's stuff that you can disclose, but there's things that you're disclosing involuntarily without even realizing it. They're storing data that you maintain on your phone, your location, um, conversations that you've had. They have access to everything. Your pictures. They have access to all of this stuff. Without your consent. And even what Larry Ellison said, he said that AI is going to be everywhere. They're going to be in the public restrooms. They're going to have cameras everywhere. There is not going to be any privacy. So it's going to be a dystopian hellhole where the capitalists are going to control us. We're not going to be able to get work, but yet we're going to be completely dependent on them for our survival. It's going to be an inversion of the way things actually should be. Now, let me read some more comments. Let me see before I keep going. What I don't know what perspective you're supposed to have. What other perspective, like if you think positive, how is positive thinking going to change anything? Not only shall AI take over everything, look at how we, the 8 billion supercomputer nanobot machines and AI is just waiting to plug us into a whole giant force assimilated hive mind being. Exactly. Um I really would like to know what other perspective you can have because I don't know what your perspective can be. This is reality. This is objective reality. This is not anybody's opinion. This is what is actually coming. Now, I know you can say, "Oh, we can look at this as a positive." Is that what you mean? That we can look at this as an opportunity for growth? Um, it's going to be at your suspense, at your expense. Maybe it's going to be the growth of society. It's not going to be for your. It's not going to be for your benefit. All right, now, let me talk about student loans because this is the reason why I came on here this morning because I just got notification that I am in arrears on my student loans, which I don't check because I have so many damn problems and I have tons and tons of I don't read that shit. It's most of the shit goes in the shredder if it's not something that I actually requested or I'm actually looking for it. So um a lot of people will talk about how student loans are that's basically your fault. Take personal responsibility. You're the one who took those student loans, right? As if you had a choice. No, the master state forced you into debt. The master state prevented you from earning a livelihood without obtaining an occupational license, and the occupational license was contingent upon you getting an education. Therefore, the debt was necessary in order to survive. You didn't choose to exist, by the way. So let's start out with that. You didn't choose to exist. You didn't choose to be a part of this system. You were thrown into this shit. Your parents forced you here, and now you're just trying to make the best out of out of an untenable situation where all options are bad, you're just trying to choose the least bad option. If you attempt to work without a license, the master state will throw you in a damn cage. It will deploy violence. It will garnish your assets. It will put bank levies on your account. There have been people who have tried to not practice law, but provide legal services without a license. They have had their entire lives destroyed. Um, not through jury trials, by the way, through summary judgment. That they avoid the jury trial because they don't actually believe in due process. Um, so there's the criminal component too, but then they can also do it civilly. So, in order to get the occupational license, a condition which you did not choose, you have to take out student loans. So, now everybody's going to talk about how you're so irresponsible. You should have thought about this beforehand, right? Um, but here's the problem: the master state prevents student loans are the probably one of the few debts that can't one of the few private debts that can't be discharged in bankruptcy. I know child support can't be discharged. Taxes can't be discharged, but I'm not sure why student loan debt should be in a category that is separate from any other debt. I'm not sure why they're getting special privileges. Well, because it's based on the assumption that if you took out student loans and you're necessarily going to benefit from it, it's going to increase your earning potential, and therefore it is not fair for you to increase your earning potential without having to pay for it. It did not increase our earning potential. Many of us have actually been fucked by taking out student loans and getting debt, and we have been rendered unemployable because we have too much education. Um, the student loan debt will follow you your entire life. Your wages can be garnished. Your tax refunds can be seized. Your social security can be taken. And there's actually only one way to have your student loan debt discharged, which is death. But I put that in my book, by the way. The Code on Federal Regulation says that upon the death of the borrower, the Secretary of Education has to discharge your student loan debt. This is a this is a there's a doctrine in the law which is void against public policy. Like basically, the public policy is encouraging death because that is the only way you're going to get out this shit, right? So look at the trap. Death is the only thing that can get you out of your student loan debt, but the master state prevents you from having the right to die because it deploys violence against those who attempt to exercise their disposal rights. You do not have the right to medical assistance. Attempting to exercise your disposal rights will trigger involuntary commitment, i.e., state violence. And so the state is forcing you to exist while forcing you to pay for your own enslavement. It's not for your benefit. It's for the benefit of society and for the benefit of the master state. But you're the one who has to bear all the damn consequences. This is gaslighting, right? They're telling you that you're responsible for your debt, that you chose to go to college. You should have worked harder. You should have chosen a different major. You should have lived frugally, right? But the master state created the requirement. They created the occupational licensing backed by violence. They force you into that by preventing you from earning a livelihood without obtaining the license. They made the debt inescapable because they eliminated the possibility of bankruptcy. They prevented the only solution, which is preventing you from exercising your disposal rights. Then they blame you for the problem that they created. This is the moral logic of an abuser, right? This is like the Darvo, deny what is it, Darvo? Deny review reverse victim. I forget what Darvo means, but it's the term that they use for narcissists. But this is the logic right here. I'm going to force you to stay in this burning building. I'm preventing you from jumping out the building, And the fact that you remain in the building is somehow your fault. And you're responsible for all the consequences that happen to you while you are forced to remain in a burning building. This makes absolutely no fucking sense. When you prevent someone from solving their own problem, you assume responsibility for that problem. If the master state interferes with your disposal rights, preventing the legal discharge mechanisms it established, then the master state must address the problems that it created. But the master state will not. It will continue forcing occupational licensing, preventing you from earning a livelihood without a license, forcing you into debt, preventing the discharge, right, uh, through the prohibition on bankruptcy, extracting payments through violence, and then blaming you for the conditions which you had no control over. This is life slavery in its purest, excuse me. This is life slavery in its purest form, forcing you to bear the cost of the requirements the master state imposed, preventing you from escaping these costs, then blaming your suffering as if this is your fault. Now, the corporate solution to this whole dystopian nightmare is um, going to be presented as the like this is going to be hell on earth, but basically you're not going to have any choice because there is no other option, right? The corporations they have a monopoly on capital. So they're going to offer you housing, but with conditions. They're going to offer you food, but with surveillance. They will offer you survival, but only if you surrender the last remnants of human dignity. The terms of survival will be clear under this dystopian hellhole. You will have no privacy. There will be cameras in every room, monitoring at every moment. No solitude. You're not going to have any right to privacy, any right to live alone. You're going to have mandatory roommates. There's basically going to be communal housing because that is the only thing that anybody will be able to afford. You're going to have some tiny little bookshelf apartment like they have in Japan. Um, you're not going to have the type of future that you think you're going to have. You're going to be living with strangers who are going to report you. They're going to be spying on you, ensuring your compliance. No autonomy. You're going to have a social credit score determining what you eat, whether you have shelter, whether you continue to exist. You're not going to have any opportunity to dissent because there's going to be people watching you at all times. Wrong one word, one moment of existence, and you lose everything. This is a logical endpoint of the system we already live under. The master state has already demonstrated that it does not care for those it enslaves. Now it is outsourcing that enslavement to corporations who will perfect the surveillance, optimize the control, and eliminate any possibility of escape. Now let's get to antinatalism. Your children have no future. And yet, even now, people will continue to procreate and continue to justify their decision to create those who already exist. They create new human beings and force them into this nightmare without their consent. They impose existence on children who will inherit a world where employment will be impossible, the jobs will be gone, AI will take all of them, there will be no future careers, there will be only scraps of labor that the machines haven't already deemed worth optimizing away. Autonomy will be prohibited. Every moment will be monitored. Every space will be surveilled. Every thought will be evaluated for compliance. The corporations will control housing, food, survival, and it will not tolerate any independence. Your right to exit will be prohibited. The peaceful death that would end this nightmare will remain criminalized. The state will it's going to refuse to maintain its property. You are the state's living property, and the state is not going to maintain you. It's going to leave it to the corporations to do it. So you cannot leave. You will be forced to suffer in perpetuity. Poverty is going to be permanent. There's not going to be any right for you to own property. There's not going to be a way for you to work your way up to get your way out of this hellhole. Um, there will be no better life waiting for you at the end of the tunnel. There is going to be enslavement, surveillance, and submission. What kind of parents would condemn their children to this fate? I've already talked about the logical fallacies that justify procreation. Um, all of them are selfish. There's not a single justification for procreation that isn't selfish. and most of them are post hoc justifications. They're not justifications for what for the initial imposition. Is basically a post hoc justification after the fact. Um, Parents cannot protect their children from what's coming, even with the best intentions, right? There, and then we still have people talking about how they want to continue breeding human beings into hell in order to save wildlife. I just debated a vegan on Finding Gnosis' channel who has children, and now she's talking about, oh, well, they already exist now. They already, so it's too late. Don't hold me accountable for the imposition that I impose. No, let's focus on the animals. Why are we focusing on humans procreating? Because we need, this is what she literally told me. We need vegans to have as many children as possible so they can liberate animals. Are you out your fucking mind? Like, you're so focused on the damn animals that you don't even realize the human predicament. You're so self-deprecating that you don't even care about your own survival. You're so busy worrying about the animals that you're going to be fucked. You're going to be fucked, and your children are going to be fucked because you're so worried about the damn animals. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about the animals, but I think it's a complete disregard for uh the human predicament as well as the predicament of their children. The children did not have to exist. You're already, there's no saving you, but why did you have to bring children into this hellscape and then justify it by saying that, oh, your children are going to liberate animals? This is why I say explicitly in my book that a life slave owes no duties. And what I mean by that is they're going to have an incentive to continue procreating so long as they are able to extract. They don't give a shit about your welfare. They're thinking about what is going to benefit them, what is going to benefit society, what is going to benefit the master state. So the only way to prevent the unjust enrichment is to decline the extraction, decline the duties, decline the positive duties that they impose on you, that you have a duty to make the world a better place. No, you don't. You don't have a duty to make the world a better place. They don't get to enslave humans and then say that it's our responsibility to create the fire which they started. No, we're not. We reject that outright. We're not going to be your damn life slaves. To the extent that we're able to resist, we're not. I'm going to eventually circle back to talk about veganism because I think the way that they're doing it is so, it's so fucking ass backwards that they're going to enslave human beings in order to liberate animals. It's so perverse. It's so unethical. It makes no fucking sense. Now, the parents can't protect their children, and they know this, but they're going to create them anyway. I think it's primarily is because I've talked about this on my Antinatalism informant channel before it was taken down, that they're basically offering their children as a sacrifice. I know it's, unless if you listen to that live stream, I did explain in detail how they are sacrificing their children to save themselves. They're basically, it's like if somebody has a knife in front of them, and it's like, don't stab me, stab my children, stab my baby. This is essentially. I know I'm not saying that they're literally doing it, but I'm saying metaphorically, like they're putting their children out as human shields to protect them from social ostracism, to ensure that their children will protect them when they get older, um, to insulate them from whatever loneliness or lack of meaning that they have. The baby, the child, their adult children are human shields. Now, my book talks about the moral debt for life enslavement. This debt is unrepayable. There is no way you can compensate anybody for these uncalculable harms, which are infinite. Um, and these people are going to have to suffer all these harms just because their parents wanted children. There is no way to justify this. It's completely unethical. Um, it's not just to shame people. It's get that. That's what Rose Permaculture was saying, that we're just trying to shame people. No, it's not about those who already have children. Fine. Um, it's about prevention. Those who don't have children yet, or those who are considering having children. We're trying to say, don't do it. Don't do it. We can't save those who already exist, but we can prevent. Like, it's preemptive. The only ethical response to this predicament is to not procreate. Do not create new life slaves. Do not impose resistance on people who will be born into conditions of permanent surveillance, corporate feudalism, State enforced continuation without escape. Every child born is a person spared from this nightmare. Every person who refuses to procreate is refusing to feed the master state and the corporations that human capital, the human capital that they need to maintain capitalism and statism. The system needs new life slaves. It needs workers to replace old workers, consumers to exploit, bodies to surveil, people to extract from until they are completely used up. Then they force them to continue existing because their death would discharge the duties that they owe society, right? They talk about how you owe society to contribute. You do not owe society shit. Society is extracting from you. Society owes you. You do not owe society shit. Refuse to give society the extraction that it is demanding. If you knew with certainty that your child will live their entire life in poverty, under surveillance, without privacy, without autonomy, without the possibility of meaningful work, and without the right to exit peacefully, would you still create them? If the answer is yes, you have revealed your desire for a child matters more than your child's suffering. If the answer is no, you must confront what you already know. This is the future we are heading towards. This is what you would be forcing them to experience. There is no future for human beings. This isn't anti-natalism or my philosophy, life abolitionism, has nothing to do with hating children. It's not because we lack compassion. It is precisely because we recognize that creating a new person who will bear comprehensive costs throughout their entire existence, costs that are about to become dramatically worse, without their consent and purely to satisfy parental desires, is an act of profound immorality. Now, I was trying to think: is there anything else besides anarchy and antinatalism? Is there anything else that can actually save um, the human species? No. From this dystopian nightmare, I was trying to think. I could not come up with anything. And the only two solutions that I could come up with are anarchy and antinatalism. And anarchy would dismantle the state's monopoly on violence, um, eliminating the enforcement mechanism that maintains capitalist extraction without state violence protecting corporations. Um, their claim of ownership of AI that workers built without police preventing workers from accessing resources which exist in nature, without courts enforcing extraction through property law, capitalism itself collapses. But this requires dismantling the state entirely. Most people are not going to support that. Most people will reject this. They have been programmed since childhood to believe that that state violence is necessary, that law and order require a monopoly on force, that society would collapse into chaos without the master state's violence. Now, the second option is antinatalism, refusing to procreate starves the system of what it needs most: new human capital to extract from. Every child not born is one less worker to replace with AI, which I'm not even sure they're necessarily going to be workers. I would say it's going to deprive the system of consumers. One less consumer to exploit, one less person trapped in a forced existence, paying student loans that can never be discharged except through death, while the state prohibits that death. Demographic collapse dismantles the extraction machine. The pyramid scheme over the ever expanding population growth fails. The system dies not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it with new life slaves. But this requires confronting the most deeply held belief that procreation is good, natural, and necessary. Most people will reject this. They would want children for their own benefit and will create new victims no matter what future awaits them. Now, they will talk about other alternatives. They will talk about a general strike. These are not going to work because the state has a monopoly on physical force. Capitalists have monopolized the means of production through state violence. And when workers claim when they claim legitimate ownership of what they built, the state deploys violence to stop them. So you try to claim the AI that you built, you'll be arrested for theft. If you try to access resources directly, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Um, you can't dismantle capitalism because the state will use violence to prevent it. Democracy cannot save you. You cannot vote your way out of freedom because participation is coerced. You do not have the right to escape your involuntary existence. Majorities benefit from your extraction. Democratic majorities serve the master state. Courts deny relief through immunities. Um, there is no realistic solution for this dystopian hellhole. It's inevitable because the only solutions that could prevent it, anarchy and antinatalism, will be rejected by the vast majority. So they will continue supporting state violence because they think that their solutions, what they're doing right now, is the solution, right? The definition of insanity is continuing the same thing and expecting a different result. They're going to continue supporting state violence. They're going to continue supporting and advocating for procreation. They're going to continue participating in capitalism and voting and democracy and trusting the courts to fix problems. There is no solution for this. Let me see if I have any comments because I'm pretty much. I did cover what Jesus said about. Yeah, there's a case that Jesus was an anti-natalist. I did cover. It's a there's a book called The Child Free Christ, which I did review. You know what? If you're interested, I still have that live stream on my other channel. I can reload that. What if I'm wrong? I don't think that I am wrong. I could be wrong about the long term solution. Maybe there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe I highly doubt that. Maybe they're actually trying to make humanity or make the world a better place. But there's going to be a lot of suffering in the interim. They're going You can see it happening right now. Like it's not that I'm wrong because it's already happening. They're already laying off workers. People are already unable to pay their bills. They can't pay their student loan debt. They are already having to move back with their parents to basically sleep on the floor in somebody's living room. So a lot of people are already facing it. It just hasn't hit everybody yet. So I don't think that is a possible. I don't think there's a possibility that I'm wrong because it's already happening. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I'm wrong long term. That years down the road things will get better. No, 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 no. Even under that scenario, it will only be better to the extent that people will be able to survive, um, because their survival is going to come from the system, right? So they're still not going to be free. Maybe they will have housing, maybe they will have food, but they're still going to be under complete subjugation. So I don't see how I could possibly be wrong. I don't see any other scenario where there could be a Pollyanna outcome. I'm trying to figure out how I could possibly be wrong, and I can't think of any type of scenario where I could be wrong. Like, this is predetermined. It's already happening. Let me go through a few more comments before I end this live stream. What's wrong with living with our parents? Well, I don't know. If you have a good relationship with your parent, that's one thing. But a lot of us were abused by our parents. I would not want to live with my father. My father is deceased. I would not want to live with my mother. My mother is abusive as hell. Um, the point is that you don't have a choice. You're not going to have any privacy. It's going to basically force you to be you're not going to have agency over your life. You're not going to have choices. You're not going to have the choice to have privacy. Um, Whatever rules that your parents dictate, you're going to have to live by them. So you think that you're going to be free at the age of 18, and you're not, because you're still going to be living under the roof. So it's going to be a complete life of subjugation. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. If you want to live with your parents, that's fine. But I'm saying that those who don't want to live with our parents, we're not going to have a choice, and we should have a choice. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it's already happening now. It's starting to happen. All right, I think I am pretty much done. I don't know if I have. You do not even have the ability to move out easily on your own, and AI is making sure of that too. For that be another colossal problem. Maybe outlaw birth control. No, well, my book does not advocate for that because I am an anarchist. So I'm not advocating for state violence. I don't know how. Wait, wait a minute. I'm trying to understand what you said. If you outlaw birth control, why would procreation be thought about more seriously? Wait, yeah, I don't. Can I think if you outlaw birth control, then people are not going to have any control over procreation. Like you would want people to have more access to birth control. Um, there are other ways that you can. Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially if you're heterosexual. I don't know how you can get around that. I don't think that is the point. I think even if it wasn't casual, even if you were married, they're still going to procreate and create more children in a dystopian hellhole. I think those who are having casual sex are actually using protection more than those who are married. So the ones who are having casual sex are not procreating, at least not to the same extent as those who are married. Like the large families are the people who are married. Okay, I don't think that I have anything else. I was trying to think of other solutions, but I really could not. I think that the dystopian future is predetermined. I don't see any other way out. And even if there was some slight possibility that things could get better, um, why would you take that chance? Why would you gamble? Why would you take the risk that? I mean, especially if you're maybe I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So I think most of us will be around to actually see it happen. But even if let's say you're a little bit older, maybe you don't get to see all this. Your children are still going to live through it. Why would you put them through this? I guess I'll just conclude with this. Those who are never born will never face unemployment, surveillance, corporate feudalism, forced continuation, or any other horrors that we know are coming. They will never bear the cost you would impose. They will never suffer the enslavement you would create. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I think it is black and white. I'm if it isn't black and white, then tell me what the gray area is. What is the gray area? What hope is there for the future? Okay, y'all. I would open it up, but I kind of have to go. So y'all have a good day. I may do another live stream later if I have time.